Welcome, everybody. Welcome along to our Data Quality Academy. It's something we've had in the diary for a little while, and it's been getting closer and closer, and the day has finally arrived, which I'm very excited about. As you can see, this is a partnership with our good friends at TimeXtender, and it's the first time we've ever done anything like this, actually. So you guys are part of the first ever people to be involved in something like this through the Data Science Festival. And it's something that has come about, a little bit of a backstory. It's come about through a number of conversations with the team at TimeXtender, who are all fantastic and very supportive of the data community as a whole. And in conversations with them, I run a regular data leaders breakfast, obviously through the Data Science Festival, meet lots and lots of companies. And there's such good buzz at the moment, and general buzz out there at the moment about generative AI and all the amazing stuff that's going on in the world of data. But the amount of people that I speak to, data leaders, senior people within companies, and the number one thing that they always talk about actually is data quality and data governance and having the right foundations in place to be able to do all of the good stuff with AI. So it always does come back to this. And in talking about this with TimeXtender, we were putting our brains together and we were kind of saying, well, what could we do to help support the data community? And that's where this idea came about. So we are running a 4-week course. It's going to cover a whole number of principles and best practices around data quality. We're going to be talking about diagnosing and solving data issues. We're going to talk about data governance. We're going to talk about orchestration. We're going to talk about data quality dimensions. And we're going to do all of this in a way that's going to underline all the best practices and the principles. We will also have some hands-on time with the TimeXtender platform. But the team at TimeXtender, as much as they would love you to be using the TimeXtender platform, and I'm sure you'll get a lot out of that, it is the principles as well. So everybody is going to take a lot away from this. What we've also agreed with them is that anybody that attends 3 or more of the sessions will pass a certificate for being part of it. And the team will also provide some other giveaways through the course of the 4 weeks. So we are very excited to get going. And in terms of that, if I could ask Mel and Gaia to turn on your cameras and your microphones, come and join us on stage. So it's good to see you. How are you doing? I'll start with you, Mel. How are you doing today? I know you've been very much looking forward to this, haven't you?
Oh yes, we're finally doing this. I'm so excited.
Good
Thanks
vibes. It is
Yeah.
good vibes. It is happening. And what about yourself, Gaia? How's your day today?
Yes, fine. I'm very excited to do this today. So a lot of preparation. So it's really fine to day finally come. Yeah.
It's happening, man. It's happening. And I love the fact that we've got people in the chat already jumping in and saying hello from wherever they're joining us in the world. So already I can see a lot of people joining from London, from Brussels, from India, many people from India, from Sarah. We've got to give Sarah a shout out from sunny Glasgow. This wouldn't have happened without Sarah. So big shout out to Sarah. Dublin, Zurich in Switzerland, the Netherlands. So we have got a multinational audience for this. So very excited to get stuck in. I know you're going to give a good intro, Mel, in terms of what to expect over the next sort of 90 minutes to 2 hours. It's going to be interactive. We're going to be in the chat. We're going to got some polls and stuff like that, as well as some hands-on elements. So what I will do, Mel, I will stop sharing now. And if we can, I'll get you to do that. A few more from the Netherlands. We've got Russell in Yorkshire. Fine country that, isn't it, up in Yorkshire? We love a bit of Yorkshire. I'm a fan of Yorkshire tea. There is obviously more to Yorkshire than tea. Amazing. We've got a few questions about the slides. All of the sessions are recorded, so you will be able to go through everything. Jodie from Kentucky, get in there, Jodie. Right, I'm going to stop calling people out, Mel. I can see that you've got your slides up there. Are you guys happy with everything? I'll be watching along in the background with everyone else, but for now, I'll maybe hand over to you and get things going from there.
Wonderful. So let's do this. Hello, everyone.
Sorry, no, let me say one more thing. Honestly, I have one thing to say. If you have a question, we have the Q&A feature. And Mel and Gaia have very kindly said they will be tackling all of the questions at the end. So as much as the chat is open, it's interactive, say hello to everybody. If you have a specific question, please put it in the Q&A. And I'm gone now, Mel. Over to you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Really excited to have you here. I'm here with my colleague, Geir, but during the next sessions, you will also meet two of my fellow colleagues, Adam and Gunnar. But today it's me and Geir that will run you through a lot of things. And as you can see, we're taking the first session of the Data Quality Academy and talk about all the challenges you wish you would take care of themselves, but they don't. So that's why we're here today. And as we have it in our company as kind of a tradition, that every time when we have an important meeting or some things to really get focused on, we are taking a minute to relax. And this should be kind of, talking about quality, should be a quality minute for you, your brain, and your time to take now, just to focus, to completely get onto this and just to completely be ready for whatever is to follow. So Geir has an hourglass that he would share with us. And take a minute quality for you and start now.
Yes, and the minutes is up.
Wonderful, thank you. So I hope you had all a very good quality minute for yourself. Before we start this session, we would quickly introduce ourselves. David gave a good idea of who is here on the chat. Geir, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'm Geir Fredheim. I've been working with the TimeXtender for about 3.5 years. And I've been working with the data since 1991, actually. And for the last about 25 years or so, I work with data integration, data quality, and big data, and data warehousing, and everything similar to that.
So we have a specialist here that is a speaker. I'm very excited. My name is Melanie Schneider. I live in Iceland, but I am born in Switzerland and raised in Switzerland. Moving to Iceland has not exactly been an upgrade in regards of data quality, so there's a lot of work here to do, which I love. But else than that, I started my career as a teacher, and you find that shining through once in a while, especially when we talk about the academy. And also, then went over to leading a company that is in an edtech company, like a learning management system within Teams. And there, I found it is essential to know more about your data. So we did not succeed because we never took a closer look at our data, and so many things could have been seen. So I got kind of obsessed with the idea of, getting into the data environment. And this brought me to TimeXtender, which I was joining a year ago, I think, before I was with Exmon, the Icelandic a company that got acquired. And now very happy to do this. It's about getting this subject out there in the world and really showing the importance of data quality. And this goes through a lot of different, or touches a lot of different points that we will show today. What are you expecting, just to setting the scene? So we're talking about the Data Quality Academy with 4 sessions. What do you expect? Today, Geir and myself, we will lay the foundations for you, just to get an understanding in general what it is when we talk about data governance, data quality. We also bring you a little bit of an idea of how you can bring this subject into the company, how you can work with data quality, and just really also get a perspective on how to look on certain aspects of data quality in general. We also want to give you good tools at hand to discuss the matter within your company, to look at different departments and take that then into consideration when you take your decisions, or when you talk about certain things in the future. What will you learn? Exactly that, right? We really hope that you take a lot of new perspectives and ideas with you, that you get also some things at hand that you can work with, and that you are becoming a specialist when it goes down to data quality. Specialist meaning that you not only know more about the subject, but you also have certain things to start the topic, start thinking about it and just see the essence of the whole data governance piece. Then you always get from students, is there a test at the end? No, I can assure you there is not. But what we will do is we just have a look at the attendance list and would give you a certificate for all the ones that attend more than 75% or 75%, preferably 100. But of course, I know it's not always time doesn't always allow to make it. So we would, be happy with you attending 3 of the 4 sessions, and then you get a very, very nicely created certificate from our marketing team that will make you then a data quality specialist. What tools will we use? So there will be different tools during the sessions, but today we will mainly focus on a polls, which is very intuitive. So you will just get a polls during our coffee break first time, and then we will use a Miro board where we will post a link in the chat that you can then use and do all kinds of things. But I will run you through Miro, so don't worry if you have not worked with Miro yet. I will show you quickly how to do it. It's a very intuitive tool. And what you also get at the end of the 4 sessions is you can have a 2 weeks free trial of the TimeXtender platform. So everything we're showing you, everything that we have a tool at hand in regards of TimeXtender, you will get a free use of them. So at the end of the session 4, we will tell you what to do and hopefully spike your interest in trying some things out with our platform. Most important stuff is how you can shape the sessions. So it is really, as a matter of fact, important for us to react on your needs. The first 3 sessions are pretty much laid out and we have an idea of how we will have them. But the last session specifically should be shaped by your needs. So we will send out some questionnaires, we will send out some emails, we will give you throughout the different sessions some space to just really post what you find interesting. If you see something that is in particular interest for you, please just point this out to us. So the last session should really be tailored to your needs and what you want and what you get most out of it. So that's how you shape it. You will have different kind of ways to do it. So are you ready for this? Send me a quick reaction. Everyone here? Ready to start with the first piece? Great, wonderful. That sounds good. Okay, so the session today, Geir will give us a fantastic introduction into data governance. Whoa, I get a lot of reactions. my screen is going crazy. Thank you so much. We will have an introduction. Oh, now will come a lot of hearts all of a sudden. That's also good. Geir will give us an introduction to the data governance piece. He will kind of lay the foundation of what to expect, and just so we get everyone on the same base and talk about what data quality and governance is in general. Then I will introduce you to our holistic data suite, just how we as a company support that topic and what we do in regards of our suite to support the data governance piece. Then you will hear some real life stories, right? It's always nice to hear some customer cases and see how this is really implemented and in the real world scenario. And then Geir gives you a good overview about assessing data quality. So that's really the piece where you get some good tools to just also try and find out. And then at the end, we will give you a PDF where you can get some stuff also just written down. So we will send you out some follow-up email where you then which supports the things that we try to do then in the next session. So a lot of good things to come, and I have talked enough now, so I will hand it over to Geir. Now he can start with the introduction of data governance and quality. Geir, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Just share the screen. Okay, so this is going to be a short introduction to data governance and data quality, especially the data quality part. But to put it in a context, I have to talk a little bit about data governance as such. And what is data governance? It's depending on, if you Google it, you'll get a lot of different definitions, but I've chosen the simple one that Gartner used, and that says it's a collection of processes, roles, policies, standards, and metrics that guarantee the efficient and effective use of information, allowing an organization to reach its goals. And many people think that what is the purpose of data governance? It was said in the last slide, efficient and effective use of information, allowing an organization to reach its goals. But it's to set a framework to handle the data governance. And many people think data governance is just a piece of software. You buy this software to take care of everything in data governance and data quality. But in reality, it's more a framework, and it includes people in the business people, IT people. It's technology, software and servers, networking. It's the processes in a company, both the business processes and the processing of the data flowing through the business. So it's a cooperation of those 3 things that is the fundamental data governance. And to be able to govern your data, you need knowledge about the data. Where does the data mean? Where does it come from? Where and how is it used? You need someone to have ownership of the data and processes. Who is responsible for the governance framework? Who is responsible for data of data systems, for the business processes, processing of data, etc. And it's about accessibility. The data needs to be available to those who need the data, but maybe not to those who doesn't need the data. For instance, a person working in shipping doesn't have to see sensitive HR data. It's security. It's servers are securely stored or in the cloud, and you have to have backups. You need to have some security measures to prevent data breaches and privacy breaches. And it's data quality to ensure that the data is fit for its use. So why is data governance important? It supports the strategic goals of your company. It aligns the data management with the business. It improves the data quality. It ensures that the data is accurate, consistent, and reliable. It enhances the security and privacy. It protects sensitive information like PII. It facilitates collaboration, promotes cross-departmental sharing and trust in the data. And a very important thing is that it enhances regulatory compliance like GDPR and others. And some businesses like healthcare and finance, there are a lot of compliance to be met. So what is data quality? Data quality is defined as the degree to which data meets an organization's expectations of accuracy, validity, completeness, and consistency. I'll talk more about that later. So, and about 80% of companies worldwide is facing data quality challenges. And surveys has estimated the revenue loss due to poor data quality to be 15 to 25%. And some of the risks of bad data quality is poor decision making. If you have bad data, missing values, you make bad decisions. You have inefficiency, use a lot of time and effort to identify data quality issues and fix them. You will have missed opportunities, like marketing campaigns that fails because you are missing a lot of email addresses to your customers. Siloed information is that different departments have difference in the same data, or only one of them has the data they need. You will have mistrust. Bad data quality leads to mistrust in reports, in dashboards, in data in general, and everyone is trying to find their own truth. And you will have lost reputation, which could be if you have online store and you deliver goods and you don't have the wrong address info, you got a lot of delayed deliveries. It could be incorrect invoicing. And we'll have lost revenue and unpredicted marketing campaigns. It could be missed sale opportunities. You can be unable to invoice or invoice way too little. So in data quality, often talk about this 110-100 rule of quality control, or also known as the rule of 10. So if you prevent it, it's as a factor of 1. And to correct the data quality issues, it will cost you 10 times more. And if you fail to fix it, it will cost 10 times more than that. So it's very important to identify and find issues as early as possible.
And Geir, that's actually a very good one and a very interesting one, because, you know, often preventing a data quality error is very hard, right? They are humans putting something in the system, and it's very hard to prevent them from doing this. But when you work with the right tools and when you make your team aware of bad data and bad data quality, then they basically, you know, they learn as they go. And next time when they, you know, create a custom or when they put something in your ERP or CRM system, they might think twice and just, you know, put the point where the address is just to get it over with. So that's a really good way of just also educating the team. So the more the team thinks about, and that's throughout all departments, you know, about data quality, the more they also will you will more preventing these kind of things. And of course, our tools are tailored to correct this, right? So our tools are tailored to spot the errors where they happen and then correct it as we go. But I mean, the least cost you have, of course, when the team is, trained on creating better data quality within the whole organization.
Yeah. So when we talk about data quality, we also talk about dimensions. That's different. It's something of the data. It could be a data item, record, dataset, database, and it's something that can be measured or assessed to understand the quality of the data. So we have accuracy. That is the data an actual representation of the element it describes. We have completeness. How complete is your data set? And consistency. Is your data synchronized across the organization? And timeliness. Is the data ready when it is needed? And validity. Does the data fit the defined ranges and definitions and business rules? And we have uniqueness. That checks if there are any duplicates within your data. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about those dimensions. So there exists also a couple of other dimensions that is not very much in use. These are the 6 that are widely used. So the accuracy is the degree which data correctly reflects real-world objects. And you can validate the data against trusted sources. And if you have a consumer price index in a database, you should make sure that that's reflected the real consumer price index that is the official published one from the government. Or it could be a patient's record. Blood type should be the actual blood type of the patient. Or an employee phone number is the correct one, and the phone number the employee has now. So you have to validate data and implement data entry controls and regularly audit and cleanse data to have accurate data. Melanie, do you want to say something about this?
Yes, I think it's actually the most almost the most tricky one to do, right? So if you want to prove accuracy, you need to kind of make sure that you have a trusted source that you can compare the values to. So not everyone is a sportsman that we are in Iceland that we can, hook into the national registry and get the names out there or things like that. So it's really that is one of the hardest ones that we see is to justify or to check is actually that you have accurate data in your systems.
Yeah, and we have completeness. It's to ensure that all required data is available and check for missing values. As I mentioned earlier, if you have missing values, you properly do bad analysis or bad decisions. And examples of completeness is that every custom records include all the values for all required fields, such as name, address, and phone number. All products in an online catalog have images and descriptions and estimated delivery time. We have consistency, which is the data integrity. It ensures that the data is uniform across all system and data points and uses standardized formats across the platforms. And this reduces errors when you are joining data sets together and use them in another way than it was put into the systems. Yeah, it could be date formats, and it could be the customer address is the same in billing, in shipping, and in your support systems. And product price is identical in your inventory database and in sales. Yeah, Melanie, you want to say something? But
that's on the other way very easy to check, right? So we build a lot of data quality controls on missing attributes like missing customer addresses or things that are not the way they should. So it's very easy for us to spot the emails that are not in the right format or they don't have the correct domain or anything like this. So This is something that is fairly easy to do. And often when we go to customers, they say, no, we don't have any problem with data quality. We just do this well. And then when we look into their data and ask specific questions, we see that especially when it comes down to consistency and completement, things that you would think you have covered from the source system, because they are basically mandatory fields where an input is required. But users get very creative when it comes down to that. So you might find all these kinds of things that you really can then spot with the right tools.
And we have timeliness. That is, if the data is available when it's needed. And if you have delayed data, it might use the value of the data, and you can do decisions that is not correct. And also the data needs to be current to reflect the latest state of affairs. And for instance, a currency exchange rates needs to be new. You can't use from 1 month ago, it's probably wrong. And it could be more internal stuff like sales data is updated in the reporting system within 1 hour after the transaction is done, and that inventory levels are refreshed in real time to reflect the current stock and things like that. And then we have validity. It ensures that the data has a correct format and type, and it must align with your established business rules. It's to validate the field entries and confirm with the compliance. And it helps with the consistency as well. So this could be that the zip code only can contain valid postal codes for the specified country, or a date of birth field only can accept dates in the past, or that an employee ID or department ID or something has a required format, like 3 letters and 4 digits, and things like that. And this is also very important to prevent human errors. And last but not least, we have uniqueness. That is to eliminate duplicate records to ensure data accuracy. And you get one single source of the truth. You avoid confusion. You avoid errors by establishing one version of the records. You will have improved efficiency because you don't waste a lot of time and effort to figure out what is the correct record. And you will build confidence for stakeholders and end users. So everyone are sure that this record is the correct one. If you have one system, if you have duplicates, one system can choose the first one, the other system can choose the second one, or it could give error, or it could duplicate all other data. So it's really important to get rid of duplicates. So examples of this is that in an email address in a newsletter subscription appear only one, and that each customer has a unique customer ID and no duplicates. And these duplicates often come if you join, like you get customers from 2 different systems and join them together, and there are some mismatch between the IDs. That's a very common way to get these duplicates. Yeah, so the data quality process is a process that really never ends. You start off with data quality planning and definition. That's where you identify your critical data. You find the data sets that's most crucial for your operation and decision making. You set specific quality objectives. You have to define clear and measurable goals for your data, and using the appropriate dimensions mentioned earlier. You also have data profiling and assessment. That is to identify data sources, map out all the sources, fitting data into a system. It could be both internal and external. It's to analyze data quality issues, assess common problems like missing values, inconsistencies, and formatting errors. You have data cleansing and transformation. That is to define quality standards, have clear guidelines for data formats, acceptable values, and validation rules. and to develop data cleansing procedures to identify and correct errors in your data set.
That's a very interesting
Yeah.
piece, right? Because you have, it's an ongoing process. Often we see that when we are implementing the data quality in one specific department, then the other ones start to pick it up also, right? So, for example, the finances, we are implementing some controls to track if somebody has not taken, or if somebody hands out too much of a discount when the company rules is often also a fit with your own company, with your business rules, right? So we say we do not hand out more than 20% discount. So you can profile this along all the data sets and see where some departments or some stores have handed out too much of a discount. And then it's also, in that sense, if you see that, then customers get very creative. So we're using this internally also for our HR department, sending out the day before when somebody's birthday is, or just this kind of things. That's just nice to have a check of it. It's just nice to get an email and spot some things that are, when the office is cleaned, or just certain things. So people get very creative, and I think that's the nice piece of it, right? When you implement it in one department, it swiftly goes over to other things, and you can get there's always a new peace of mind and asking, okay, can we get a control on this, or can we not do this and that? So it gives also a different way of how you look at data quality, and that it's not just a one-time thing and then it ends. So it's continuously, rethinking it and thinking it over again, and build new checks that you can use.
Yep, and it's also monitoring is also important to monitor your data quality. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? And so you have to track key metrics to measure this progress towards your goal you have set in the planning phase. And you also have to governance and continuous improvement. That is to generate regular reports and share insight about the data quality to the stakeholders, and not only the stakeholders, but it should be to all that uses the data actually in a company. So everyone is more aware of what is happening and why this is being done and what impact this has to my job and stuff like that. And analyze the data quality trends. That is to see if there are any improvements. You can spot any improvements in some areas, or adjust your approach based on the ongoing data insights. So if you see the monitoring that the data quality is decreasing, you have to do something to improve that. And you also have to adapt when your data landscape evolves. You will get new data system, new external sources of data. You will join data together in a new way that you haven't done before. And then you have to refine your practices to maintain the optimal data quality. So, and then you have to plan again, and the circle is rolling. And also something about the data quality scope. It's important that you set your data quality priority based on the most important business use cases. So because not all data is equally important, and it's a common thing to start with where the company has severe risk or biggest value creation. And often centralized and company-wide data systems are more important than local data systems. Of course, there could be some cases that a local data system is very important for your business, but in general, centralized and company-wide systems are more important. So, very important to start small and the most critical things first, and then build more and more data quality tests.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Geir. That was so interesting. I really hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. So really, really good learnings and really great input. I saw somebody asking in the Q&A if we could share the slides beforehand. Of course, we cannot travel back in time, but we tried to do or to figure something out with our marketing team then before the next session. I think a lot of valuable inputs, and I hope you could take your notes still, even if we did not share it beforehand. I will take over, or yeah, I will just take over and share the screen, Geir. Could you? Wonderful. Okay, let's do this. So You've been very good students. I see you're still all here, so that's nice to see. Thank you so much for sticking around. We are planned a coffee break with a small poll, and plan to do that around 10 minutes. So you get yourself a good cup of coffee, and if you have time and willingness to fill out the poll, it would be great, just to gather some good feeling or ideas of how you have tackled the data quality so far. How frequently have you considered any issues? If there is something that's more important or not. So if you find the time within the next 10 minutes, it would be great to get your ideas and input. And else, I would leave you for the coffee break and just give you 10 minutes of good quality time to think about everything you learned, get yourself a good cup of coffee, and answer the poll. Thank you so much. We will be back in 10 minutes. Wonderful. I see a lot of people are ready for the next part. Let's take this. Any chance we can have the result of the... Yeah, fantastic. As if we would have rehearsed this. Okay, so let me have a look at the poll. Also, I saw in the chat that not everyone took this coffee break seriously, and some of them were drinking beer, but that's fine. So I hope you're even more ready for the next part then and bits. There were very few that almost never considered data quality issues. So a lot of people seem to have, quite often or very often even some encounters with bad data quality. And I guess that's also the reason why you're here, right? To have or to get better in that regards. Also, how critical it is. Most of you are basically aware of that it gets very critical. And then we have a lot of ideas, or basically a lot of answers on which department you think encounters the most data-related errors. And this is basically also for us to tailor our next session towards this. So if you would happen to have a lot of errors in the finance departments, we would then also bring some concrete ideas for the finance department or the human resource or whatever you bring. So we will the number 3 was basically tailored to shape some of the next sessions. And then, of course, also what you think is the main cause. So very, very curious to read up about that. And unfortunately, not a lot of time to read through all this now. But thank you so much for joining the poll. And it's really great to see that there seems to be a lot of needs. I'm not happy to see that there is still a lot of data quality issues, but even more happy to see that there seems to be the need of understand better how you can create healthier data entries, how just to get this topic up running, and how to talk about these issues more and more. And that gives me the right opportunity to go one further. So I will run you through our data suite, and this shouldn't be a way of you shouldn't endure a long of a sales pitch here, but it's more to show you just how we as a company react on the needs of our customers. I will bring you some customer case, but firstly also just show you what we offer that makes your life in this regards a little bit easier. We are no newbie in the market. We are around for almost 20 years now. We have a lot of customers and partners across many countries in the world, as you can also see from the chat, right? A lot of people from India joining or from overseas. So that's really nice. And we've worked with a lot of companies. When it goes to data quality, a lot of companies also in Iceland. We work with Marel, which is one of the most famous company when it goes down to food processing here in Iceland. We work with airlines, and there, of course, it's essential that you have a good quality. If it goes to overdue repairs and things like this, so where it can really hurt not only your business but also your customers. And then a case that I brought with me today is a Vodafone case where it's really easy to relate to and just see how this data qualities can be spotted and how easy it is to set up a good control. But before we start, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea that good quality makes a difference. And just a few days ago, I recorded my son doing this, and I really hope you can hear and see this all right.
My first coffee.
So my son Noah has created his first coffee, and you're all thinking, okay, what has this to do with data quality, right? But good quality makes a difference almost everywhere in life. And when it comes down to coffee, I'm really much of a barista nerd. And for me, I really just only care, like many customers out there, about the end result. For me, it needs to taste good and it needs to look good, right? And that's the problem that a lot of our companies face today, right? They only see the report, they only see the outcome, and this needs to be clean, there needs to be good data, and it needs to be pretty. I am very bad in doing a good coffee myself. So I hired a junior to do this coffee for me. And that's exactly the problem, right? I wouldn't have the money and the time to hire a lot of baristas to make me a good coffee. So, and that's of course also the problem that a lot of companies face. So when we talk about our holistic data suite, it basically gives you a good and solid tool, a good coffee machine, if you want so, to deliver a good quality product. I would like to run you through an interactive demo that I've created for you. And that's the first time I'm doing this live, so it seems to work. Good. We see that on the market that a lot of companies need to get better in harness and utilize their data just to stay relevant, right? We have a lot of companies that stay behind. And I think with AI, it even makes it more important, because if you build your AI on dirty or not correct data, it just makes all the learnings and outcomes wrong also. So you really want to make sure that your master data is in a healthy and good status to put all different kinds of things on top, right? Also, if you want to scale. So you need to make sure that you have a good process to do things. What is also specifically with our data suite is that it's technology on independent. So, basically I could put whatever beans in my machine, right? It doesn't matter. I don't need to buy the Nespresso capsule. And also the outcome is good. It doesn't matter what kind of water I take. So it kind of gives you the right tool to get to a very good outcome. When we look at our integration piece, that's our heart piece. It's basically a lot of problems that we see is that companies buy an extensive stack of tools that are often very expensive and costly. And there's a lot of things that, are causing headaches like integration headaches, pipelines that are fragile. It leads a lot of manual work to put into, and often companies hire senior teams to do that. So it takes them a lot of time because the different technologies, different languages. Then you want to all of a sudden change your data source, and then it needs a completely different approach. And we basically built the layer on top of it. It doesn't matter what technology you choose in the future. You're very flexible and just hooking all different kinds of things in it. The data model always stays the same, and because we're looking at the metadata, we basically always have the framework on top to make a journey if you migrate or whatever you choose to do in the future, and makes it easier for you. We have our ingest phase, which connects to or the data integration, the part in general makes it, this kind of things 10 times faster for you, and should also reduce your maintenance cost by a significant amount of time and money, of course. It's three pieces that our data integration tool holds. One is the ingest, and this brings basically everything into one landing zone. We have a lot of supported data sources, and then also, especially now, everyone's talking about Fabric, so we also support the Fabric Lakehouse, for example. So you can just ingest and put every data together in one landing zone. Then you can work with this data, right? You can, prepare your data model. You can basically use the data with a very intuitive user drag and drop interface to map all your data, to do these transformations, to join it, to ask customization, to do all the magic that you need to do. Always connected to metadata, and also very well documented, so you never lose the work that you're doing if you change any technology or anything in that matter. Also, that one is deployed on different platforms like Microsoft Fabric, Snowflakes, and so on. And then at the end, it's the deliver phase to build the semantic model. This also can deploy to Power BI, Tableau, Click, all the common tools. And it's basically being able to map all these endpoints to the insights that you need for your business to create the perfect coffee at the end of the day. Then on top of this, which is the data integration piece, we are enhancing this with the data enrichment teams solution. You have a lot of data sets like product, customers, partners, projects, all this that you might want to capture somewhere. You want to have a nice UI to make this visible for the end users. So, a lot of companies we meet are still using Excel files, and Excel is very easy to break. It's a brilliant tool, but some things can go wrong there. So it's also about compliance and security risks that you can take away. It has been recently renamed from master data management to data enrichment, because we really want to make sure that this tool is there to capture, enrich, and map data. So it gives you an easier way to capture some data for just all the data that doesn't have any home somewhere else, right? We are using it for registering our demos or our KPIs internally, budget forecasts, all different kinds of things. So every process really that normally you use an Excel, you can do it in our data enrichment tool. Then it's also about data mapping, right? When you merge some company. So when you acquire a new company, you might have customers that exist in 2 different systems. So you can do some kind of 360 customer view, get this one golden record into our data enrichment, and have just a good way of seeing it and then also enriching it. So we see, a lot of needs for new fields, and all of a sudden you need a categorization to your products. You might need some email all of a sudden for customers because you do a marketing campaign. So there are really a lot of needs for enriching the data. And the nice thing is always you can give the ownership back to your business users. So that's not the data engineer or the data team that needs to do all the work, but we have a very easy way of just setting a URL across and let your end users do the work or the piece of work that normally you would need to do. So it's often like a moving of the ownership back to the ones that are understanding the data set better and therefore also can enrich it better. Then the next piece is the data quality piece. It's my passion. I like this one the most. You might feel it. It's really wherever along the journey can and happen some data inputs. They are not always 100% correct, and there's often a lot of messy data consisting or actually going through the whole data process until it ends up in invoicing, where it then really hurts your business. So it can really go from your source systems through to your data warehouse, back to the end in a report, where all of a sudden you see, you are basically presenting a wrong report to your board or to the other stakeholders. So it's really a way of spotting this error. And most of all the time, these errors they're not spotted right away, and then they exist a long time. And it's all about making your users aware of the different things. And it allows you basically really to configure data quality rules, assign users. Again, it's a moving off the ownership. We heard also from Geir that ownership is a big topic in the whole data governance piece. So it really moves it away from letting the data team running around and try to find the issue to bringing it back to the users that are responsible for the data and their insights. And then this is mostly the end result. When you work a long time with your data environment, you have all different kinds of things that you want to run and monitor, right? And that's our orchestration piece then here, where you basically have a cooperation between multiple technologies, and you just want to have a visualization, right? So you can see how healthy your data is in any point of time. You can have a friendly visualization that even your CFO can just take a look at on the web, and just can see, okay, all the data packages are green, so now I'm safe to send out the invoices, or now I'm safe to send out the salaries. So it's kind of a good way of making also the business users aware of the data health and of all the things that's going on within your data environment. So a lot of times it becomes quite complex as you scale, and that's a good way to make it visible. We will see a lot of the orchestration piece then also in the third session with Adam and Geir. Very excited for that, but this is just the overall view. So talking about the whole and holistic data suite, it basically gives you the right engine to create the best outcome. So you will never go to Nespresso after that. Be aware of that. So you will keep this as your barista tool. And that's actually what we stand for, just to make it easier for you to access and process, track different things, and get a good tool set. What we're doing next is I will run you through quickly some cases after, maybe why it was built. It definitely to just increase everything that companies doing, right? So we had the case. We have been founded, as you said, 20 years ago, and we saw that when our BI consultants went into different kind of project, always when they left the scene, there was anarchy, right? And things went back to how they were before. So these tools should really support it and help you to really succeed with the data projects, and that's why this is built for. I will run you quickly through real life stories. Are you still with me? Are you ready for that? Can you send me some reactions, the ones that are? Good, that's good. Very nice, thank you. So what we often see as standard when we go out to our users, to have on one side the business users, right? And they put some data in different kinds of systems, right? In ERP, point of sale system, whatever you want, call it, and they put it in. And then there are some business users at the other end, and they say all of a sudden, oh, well, there's some mistake happening. Where is this coming from, right? I was talking to a German company a few months ago that was delivering, they were selling some iPads, and then they went to a meeting with their sales department head, and where all the sales department heads were meeting, and then they like all of a sudden they brought up the German numbers, and then the head of sales said, but wait, you have in total, you have more sales than we have within the whole company, so what goes wrong there? And then they realized that they put, instead of 400 grams for an iPad, they put in 4 tons. So that's why they have, much more delivered and much more and overall sales. So all these kind of things can happen, right? And mostly what happens is that, somebody that sees a mistake at the end, they just call the data team, like, what's going on? Why can I not see the right sales numbers? What's happened here? And then the data team, of course, they're also just processing the data, right? So often they have no idea what happens. It's often a black box, and then they need to run around and try to find it out. And that's the wrong way to go, because along the line, a lot of things can go wrong, right? There can be users that created products without all attributes, forgot to enter a forecast where all the sales forecasts are wrong. It's also technical things that can go wrong, right? So timeout when you fetch the tables, changes in data source. All of a sudden, when you sync it across, there's not the right amount of rows loaded. There's all different kinds of things, and then at the end, you see the sales numbers do not add up, or product are not synced. So there can happen a lot of things along the way, and what is causing these failures, of course, human, like data entry mistakes, right? It happens fast that you just forget to put something in. But then there are also third-party data issues, right? If you're dependent on a currency exchange rate that's delivered by you every morning at 8, so you can do your new pricing or adjust it to the newest exchange rate, and then it doesn't get delivered by the bank, or just all different kinds of things, or integration failures. These are the technical points then. So as you see here, a lot of things can go wrong. And it's not about spotting them all at once, right? That's impossible. But it's kind of finding the low-hanging fruits to start at some place and to start with something to work with. And we have started this with Vodafone Iceland. It's a very old case, but still, we have one-to-one cases that we can also, we're discussing it at the moment with a Danish telecommunication company. So this can just be taken into all different kinds of industries and markets, and it's still valid. So we were there about a few years ago, and their main goal was customer satisfaction. So what happened with Vodafone in Iceland is that they had inconsistent invoicing, right? Every month, even with the same service and the same discount, users would get different amounts in their invoices. And that, of course, doesn't exactly help with customer satisfaction, right? Or with the trust in the company. So users or customers started to doubt, and they started to basically call up the finance department and just asking what's going wrong, right? That's exactly the same service, exactly the same person, but I have a different invoice every month. So what we did then is we took their whole billing process and spotted out actually just the low-hanging fruits of where are things that hurt you the most, that happens the most frequently, and what are things that are really, really essential. When you register a new customer, or how do you check which service this customer has already? Then, when you sync the data over, do you really get the right information, and is the right discount then applied for the invoice before it goes out? So just really figuring out, and this took about the 20 hours of implementation, making everything ready, finding this low-hanging fruits, and the impact is basically immense, because as it was there at Vodafone, they needed to spend, a lot of people 4 days at the end of each billing month to fix the subscriptions, to fix the invoicing, to manually check missing attributes or stuff like this. And that's, of course, a lot of resources and a lot of money spent on the wrong side. So there was a lot of revenue and, of course, manual work that would not be necessary. So we implemented TimeXtender Data Quality, and we just put 4 checks on this, right? So if a new customer is coming in, was this a customer that already existed? Did this customer already have a service with Vodafone? When we load like the technical data quality piece, right? After we sync the data, is it exactly the same rows, same data? So do we have everything correctly synced over? And then at the end, before it went out, did this customer already had a discount before? Do we apply it again? And with this, quick fix or like a quick implementation of the TimeXtender data quality piece, we could decrease the billing errors in 12 months over 74%. And I guess it's just such a great use case, because you see that with a few tweaks and just taking the time to proactively think about where things can go wrong and where they hurt the most, you can save a lot of time and money. And at the end of the day, now they need only at the end of the billing month, a person for 3 hours to just quickly check everything, and then it's ready to go out. Of course, as a coffee fan, I also brought a more recent use case with a company in Denmark that is a family-owned company that specializes in coffee, but they also now have everything from tea to pasta, a lot of different things. And when we went to them, they basically had the challenge that they were transferring systems. So they had, a new analytics tool, and they just needed to make sure while they migrated or transitioned over that errors are correctly handled. And they used Excel for this, but, they figured out this got way out of hand. There were way many to Excels existing. And as you can see from the data architect and on the partner side, is that we experienced, increasing complexity, and we couldn't handle this manually. So they used the data quality piece. And as you can imagine, as a coffee company, dealing with food, you have a lot of regulations. So you need to make sure that you are actually compliant with the European standards, and you need, to check on all different kinds of things throughout the production line. And they used the TimeXtender data quality piece for it. So to actively identifying and alerting. And alerting is a big piece of it, right? So whenever an error happens, it immediately sends out a notification to a person that is decided by the team who would be the best to react on. So this error doesn't consistently go through all your data processes. They were a need for a system that helps manage this effectively, automate the process, so they have a real-time overview of everything, and they are still using it heavily today. And this was just saving them a lot of time and headaches. And also, just this tedious work of going through lists and lists and finding all the inconsistency, it's much easier if a tool does it and spots it for you, so you can save all this tedious task of going through things again and again. So you will learn a lot about that next session with me and Adam then in a week time, but we will show you how this is done and basically how this works. But we can link into different areas, and just as soon as a value is spotted that is inconsistent or does not comply with your business rule, we send out an email and the users get informed. There's different ways of how to do that, but I don't want to spoil it too much now. This is basically how our tool then works, and you can spot all different kinds of things, as we also heard from Gary, basically looking into different dimensions of data quality, like missing things or duplicate things or a wrong date formats. There's inconsistencies along the way, and that's what you will learn then the next time. But now we take another quick coffee break, and that coffee break will be a little bit more interactive from your side. And I must say, this is a trial, so we have not done this before with so many participants, but let's just be creative about that and see how this goes. I love stuff like this. So we have created a Miro board, and a Miro board basically works in the way that it's an interactive just a kind of a whiteboard thingy where you can then do all different kinds of stuff, but don't be too creative for today. What we ask you, we have a few questions that we put into this kind of boards. So for example, what is your biggest data quality headache? Then you can either grab a Post-it here and just double click it and basically write your biggest data quality headache. You can drag it around, and we just write whatever you feel in here. It's also zoomable, so you can do control and then zoom in with your mouse, move it around. So there's a way of doing it with the either arrows or with the mouse to just move around this. What we have prepared for you today are basically 4 different kinds of boards with 4 different kinds of questions. The first is, what's your biggest data quality headache? Who is responsible for correcting data errors? So a little bit, going into the area of the ownership. And then, how do you measure data quality? If so, what tools do you use? And then also just which dimension you think is the biggest challenge. For the ones on the left-hand side, I ask you to just quickly grab a note. You can also basically create your own notes, just, create them here and drag them over. And for the piece on the right-hand side, you can just quickly put an emoji in. So you click on the emoji button, and then you basically just, drag the one that you like into the dimension that you think is most challenging in your company. Me and Geir will have a look at it. We maybe might reorganize some stuff. As I said, this is the first day that we do that, so we're very excited about that. But don't worry, if you don't get to it right away, we can also do this much later. This board is open throughout all the sessions for you. And this also will actually be taken into consideration when we prepare the next quality sessions, that, some things that seem to be more of a headache, that we would then basically go and put some more flesh on the bone in that area. What I will do is I will send this URL to the chat now for everyone. Then I asked you to, it's a little bit of a thing that you need to log in. So you can just create, log in with your email, and then you can or you can basically participate. Feel free to also not participate if it's too much of work for you. So it's just free for everyone to use. We would have it again, a 10-minute break, and then I hope we will find some things on there that we can share. And I will, in the meantime, just pull up this slide. So we will have another coffee break. And yes, please be creative with the Miro board and go wild. And we will try to keep the order in there somehow. But I would leave you up. Now it's 10 past. So we would get together again at 20 past. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you. I would like to share the Miro board. Thank you so much for being so active and sharing all these fantastic things with us. So just quickly go through this. Of course, we don't have the time to look at everything here, but I found there were some very, very interesting pieces here. So a lot of people have, the biggest data quality headache is, of course, missing data. And that's an interesting point that we definitely will also take, a few part on that then, or a few good ideas or just, take it into consideration when we start the next session. Then I see an interesting one is also identify the business owner, right? So it's mostly when we ask the question who owns the data, we do not get the correct answer, right? Or there's no answer to it basically. So only, talking about the subject is already bringing a good opportunity to also address ownerships, right? And then we have, keeping data centralized in different departments. That's of course a huge issue and a huge problem that we see throughout a lot of companies, especially when scaling. Then we check the next one. Who is responsible for correcting? Right? It's as I thought, the data engineers, but also the question is, who do you think should be responsible? And that's maybe where we get the different answers. And that's also a big topic next sessions when we talk about data ownership and really how to bring it to the team and how to basically also make the business users see the essence of it and the importance that they should take to be more into consideration when it goes up about cleaning up the data and when it goes into that topic. Then nice to see, or good to see that, not everyone seems to have the perfect solution yet. And no, we don't want to make this a sales pitch, but it's not only about the technical tools at hand, right? But also just the commercial tools or the communication tools. So how to bring that best up with your team and how to start the conversation. And we will do some great exercise to the next session with also just a good thing we've set together for you, just as a good checklist that you get at hand when you take this topic into your company. And then it seems to be that uniqueness and timeliness are not that popular, or do you not think it's so challenging? Then of course the accuracy, which was what we said before, right? This is often a great topic, and also how do I make sure to get the accurate data. So maybe we can bring you some more insights next session. And then it's all about completeness, which is easy to spot, and consistency. So it's very, very valuable for us to see. Thank you so much for sharing. And you will see a lot of that then also repeatedly in the next session. But I would gladly hand it up to Geir for the last piece of today. And that's really then getting down to the nitty-gritty details of how to bring the topic up and how to, get this out there and make you ready for spreading the word within your team. Thank you, Geir.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie. Just share the screen. So this part is about assessing the data quality. You have to assess it to find out, is it bad? Is it poor? Is it good? Is it just in the middle? And is it better now than last year or worse? So assessing data quality, I will start at the bottom here. High quality data is essential for informed decision making, effective strategies, and innovation. And the data quality assessment is the process of evaluating the data and estimating the impact of the data quality issues on your business. So the assessments identifies the strengths, the weaknesses in the data, and it's laying the groundwork for improving the data quality and doing corrective actions on your data. And to measure to do this data quality assessment, I will talk a little bit about the key dimensions of data quality again. I mentioned them earlier. I just remind you what it is. Accuracy is the data and actual representation of the element it describes. Completeness, how complete is your data? Consistency, is your data synchronized across your organization? Timeliness, is the data ready when needed? Validity, does the data fit the defined range and definition? And uniqueness, are there any duplicates within your data? So how can we use these dimensions when assessing the data? I will show you a small easy example of how we can use these dimensions. So here we have a data set that is to allocate the right resource for training. That is the purpose of the data. And that data will probably have a lot of columns, but what's important as the priority parts of the data, in this case, it will be the details about the trainer, it will be the training venue, and delivery method. Of course, there will be others like the date and how many days, etc. But this is just a simple example just to illustrate how to use the dimensions. So for the trainer's details, we map that to the completeness dimension. So the names should be complete. And how can we measure that? The trainer name should not be null. That's the thing we measure in the data quality assessment. And the training venue, it should be held in a place with a valid postcode. So that's the validity part. And to measure that is to check it with the national list of postcodes. And we have the delivery method, and that is about the consistency. So the delivery method is to be consistent with the venue. So the venue should be null if the delivery method is online, and it should not be null if it's physical. So of course, it's a simple example. The same would apply to the training venue. Of course, it should not have a postcode if it's online delivery. So, and many times it's the same, like the training venue could apply to many dimensions. But you have to think about what is the purpose of the data, the business objective, focus on the priority important parts of the data, and map only to the relevant dimensions. So, and what are the techniques for assessing the data quality? We have data profiling. That is the process to identify the patterns, anomalies, irregularities that can reveal deeper quality issues. So often use advanced algorithms to detect outliers, inconsistency, and providing actually a picture of the data in general. And we have data auditing. That's a technique that where you evaluate against predefined rules, identify deviation and errors. It checks for data integrity, accuracy, compliance with standards. And it's also important to implement regular data audits to ensure the continuous monitoring and maintenance of the data quality. And we have statistical analysis, that is to use mathematical methods to test hypotheses and quantify data, and also find patterns that we can't easily spot with the human eye. And rule-based validation, that is to set up validation rules so that the data is within what you expect it to be. You can't have discount for sales for more than 100%, or maybe not the top is 10%, or you can't have temperatures. If you measure something in temperatures, you can't have it 100 degrees Celsius. So the clue is to prevent errors from affecting the system. It could be also applied for external systems as well as the internal, and not only human registrations, but also automatic internet things on the internet where you get temperature readings or weather information. And there always can be something that is creating missing values or incorrect values. So the rules for that. And last, we have data cleansing. That is to correct the data, remove errors, eliminating duplicates. It could be filling in missing information. For example, removing null values and replacing them with a 0 or not applicable, or N for no, or the current date. So to do the data quality assessment, there are some steps to be taken. And the first one is to choose the right indicators or measurements. These indicators you have to focus on the areas significantly impacting the overall data quality, align with business objectives or the purpose of the data. You select indicators that helps identify the specific data quality, providing a clear path for improvement. And it has to be easy to measure with available resources and tools. You have to allow for benchmarking and always keep in mind the specific needs and objectives of the organization. And resist the temptation to measure all the dimensions. They will not be needed for every purpose. And step number 2 is to review the existing data and prepare for field activities. And that is analyze existing documents like historical records, reports, logs, to identify the initial quality issues. Understand the context and the current state of the data, and it's a guide for further assessment. You identify all the data sources to understand their relevance and reliability, and you review the existing data sets, and that where you find the missing values, duplicates, inconsistency. And it's an early identification of these problems is a big aid in prioritizing the rest of the assessment and the efficient use of your resources. And key actions for this step is data profiling, reviewing metadata, and also planning some field activities like methodologies for new data collection, addressing gaps in existing data, checking that you follows quality standards. And it's also like sampling methods and data collection tools you use for this, and also training of the team. And step 3 is to evaluate data collection and management systems. And this is essential for maintaining the data integrity throughout the organization. It's an analysis of technical configurations and workflows, and make sure that they support the high quality data management. So this is a system analysis. You analyze the data management system, verify data validation rules, backup protocols, configurations that prevent data loss and corruption. You evaluate processes to identify improvements and optimization areas. You access data entry procedures, data flow processes, and integration methods. So the goal here is to reduce errors, enhance the data quality, and minimize human errors, and implement automated data entry validation. Yeah. And also to assess the tools, the effectiveness of the tools used in data collection and the management, and how they detect errors and support data validation. Step 4 is to assess the implementation already done and the operationalization. It's to review the steps you have taken to implement this, check that you stick to the plan, that it works effectively in the daily operations of a company, and that's your planned improvements are realized and sustained. So this is not enough to do things once. This has to be a continuous process. And you review your implementation. You see that is the implementation following the initial plan? Are you using your resources like time, budget, your personnel efficiently? And if you have some challenges, how did you in the implementation, how did you address them? This will help to understand what adjustments you need to do. And it's also about the operational performance, effectiveness, how well is the data quality measures working in practice, speed and accuracy of the data handling, and sustainability. These improvements are sustainable over a long term, and it has to be ensuring that the quality is maintained without additional effort. And also some field observations where you interview or make surveys to the staff using the data who have experienced challenges. You have process observation. How is the data handling processes to identify things that can be improved? And it's also a to discover practical challenges faced by the staff and finding insight for areas that need further support. You have step number 5, that is to verify and validate the data. It's about data verification techniques to confirm the accuracy of the data. It's cross-checking to trusted sources. It could be duplicate checks and eliminating duplicates to get uniqueness in the data. It's validation rules, applying predefined rules to check data entries for conformity with the expected patterns and formats. And it's validation procedures. This could be automated checks and manual reviews, periodically manual reviews, catch issues that automated checking will not find. And it's also a compliance verification that the data meets the regulatory and compliance standards for your industry. And it's also anomaly detection. Use statistical techniques. You can use machine learning models, and you also investigate the underlying causes of the data quality issues. And the last step is the reporting part. You compile the data assessment report, and it is a final step, and it's summarize the findings and recommendations. It's a comprehensive document in 3 parts. It's an executive summary for the high-level management or stakeholders. It includes the summary of the main issues, a brief description of the impact of the issues, and the top recommendations. It contains a detailed findings part where you present the findings in detail from the data quality assessment, That's the identified issues, their impacts, and root causes. And it includes the recommendations, what actions to take for the problems you have discovered. And these recommendations should be very specific and practical. You need specific steps, clearly defined steps to how to improve, what improvement to be taken, and you need to find out what the resource requirements is time, budget, and the personnel available, and also provide a realistic time frame for implementing these recommendations, and also suggest a method or implement a method that continuously monitor the data quality of the implemented steps. So when you do this data quality assessment, there are some pitfalls you can encounter. And the first one is lack of planning. You need to plan this in advance. You have to assemble the right team. You have to bring together technical people, IT people. It could be data engineers. It could be database or service or network specialist. And you also need the business specialist with the relevant knowledge for the subject area that you are assessing. And you need to document the process and make sure that you can reproduce the assessment on a later stage. Like in half a year or a year, you can do the same without too much work. So if you document correctly, you have a very good resource for improvement, and you also maintain the team knowledge. So if half your team leaves before the next assessment, you still have all the documentation, and that minimizes risk and provides continuity. And you also have to, before you start, you have to review documentation, understand the data, and then when you conduct the assessment, follow the plan and document everything. Another pitfall is not considering the purpose of the data or the business objective. You have to understand the purpose of the data to identify what to measure. And it's also crucial for communication to stakeholders and everyone involved. If people don't understand the data's purpose, they can't see what the impact of any quality problems. So first, purpose identification, clarify or define why the data exists and how it will be used, define the assessment criteria, and the impact analysis. What effect will this have on your business or on the different stakeholders and business processes? And you also need the context of the data. So good quality data depends on the specific use case and can vary across applications. For instance, if you have a customer record and it has a male-female column, it doesn't matter when you are shopping online and delivering goods, but when marketing try to find out who is buying what and how can we market this, then that will be a field that is very important for segmenting the customers. And you also need reassessment triggers. That is when you start using the data for a new purpose, you have to reassess it just to check if everything is this valid or missing columns. And also if you get new source systems, you have to do the same. Or even if you upgrade your existing CRM system, it could be wise to check that the data is still high quality, because there could be changes that affects later in the process. Yeah, measuring the wrong things, you have to prioritize and start with the things with highest risk for the business or the high value for the business. You will have to get input from the experts. that will be the business people. They will know what is the problem with the data. They will not see the big consequences that can happen if you have poor data quality. And you will also relate to how the data will be used. So aiming to be perfect, you will never be perfect. All data you will never achieve 100% quality in all the data all the time. So that should never be a goal or aim. You should again look at is the data fit for its purpose and not the perfection. Focus on the data that is most important. Plan should be proportionate. Low risk data needs fewer checks than high risk data. Use realistic thresholds for your data. It could be that 80% data quality in a data set is more than enough, or you have to balance that you have to take into consideration your resources when doing this assessment, and and also what is practical to do in the time frame you have available. So the next part is examining the data in isolation. You have to see, you can't just see data in a system or data in a report. You have to see the all data, considering all the way from the source system until the reporting system or whatever. And going to do a lot of things going to be processed during the data's walk through their business. So it could be that you have bring it together two data sets in a wrong way, you make the wrong assumptions. It could be corrupt somewhere in the way. It could be an error in your data warehousing that no one knows about until you start doing this assessment. So everybody sees that the data they put into the source system is correct. And so before you start assessing your data, it's important that you understand the data lifecycle. And the last one, but that's absolutely the most important one, is not being proactive. You cannot sit and wait for quality issues to be reported before you start investigating it. They will then already have impacted your business bad. And you have to do regular assessment, schedule quality checks, stop bad quality data moving through the data lifecycle. The data assessment exercise should be a recurring process. The learnings from one assessment will help you to review the targets for the next one. And you need to have continuous monitoring. That's about ongoing quality surveillance. So to check if the data quality is improving or not. And you have to process and fix the data so the data is correct. Yeah. So I think that was what I had. Over to you, Melanie.
Very good. Thank you, Geir. So I see a lot of questions coming in, and considering the time, I would just have my part very quickly at the end, and then we can take time for all the Q&As. Geir, would you mind stop sharing so I can take over? Perfect. Thank you. So of course, now we laid the ground for, all the theory, right, and how to do it. But it's then also how to take it out and what really to work on. I see a lot of practical questions coming in. And just talking, throughout our experiences, when we define these quality checks, we need to see what exactly are we monitoring, right? So we need to find the piece or the part where we can actually see a result. I also saw some questions about how do we measure it, right? So we need to say what exactly is the business impact, and that's then also an easier case to really show that something needs to be done when it hurts your revenue, right? And then it's also, after we have defined, what's the failure and what we need to track, is it also who should be responsible? And I've seen a lot of question about that also, where we then pick it up at the end. And then what's the business goal, right? So if we look at the concrete example, it could be, we need to check that all orders are correctly registered. So what would happen, right? We lose 4% of our revenue because, some things are not correctly, go to the wrong address, or we cannot deliver it because X, Y, Z is missing. And then the action, we need to connect the order to the customer so we can, fix it up there and take it actually in the beginning before it proceeds to go through our processes. And then the goal should be that we can reduce it to 2%, so we minimize or half the revenue that we lose. But that's of course easier said than done, and there needs a lot of expertise and also training to get to that point. And I guess that's also a little bit where I see the question going into is like how to solve concrete pains. And it's all about starting small. So you cannot fix the whole data quality, but Geir said also it's not important. You don't need to fix 100%, but see really where it hurts the most and where the people sit that are easiest to talk to, and do a brainstorming session and really take that matter on the table, right? Embrace also the learning path, because whatever you learn on the way will benefit you then for doing it or for implementing it within another department, or taking it to another team and promote the process, because it's also about that the learning is also a journey. And there are many reasons to start about thinking about data quality. Just some concrete examples. Marketing wants to send out the newsletter and they find all of a sudden they're missing email addresses, right? Customers that don't receive their packages because they don't have a home address that is valid. The sales process has multiple stages, so I don't really know where I am in the whole process, so I don't know how to react on it and do it the right way. Then in regards to finances, you have different prices. We also see that sometimes the ERP system and the e-commerce system prices are inconsistent. So, you might sell a product to a wrong pricing. And then, we have all of a sudden new regulations and we need to make sure we are compliant with them. So there might be some quality checks resulting out of that. Or, just things in regard of the product line that are, missing important data, like, the important categories, important tags, when you all of a sudden have an e-commerce system where users can filter along the tag. So all these kind of things can make you think about data quality and how to implement it on a right way. We, of course, don't leave you with that. So we would really like to provide you with a good way of just getting this exercised and out into your company. We will send a PDF across where you can see different parts of bits and just step by step help to really implement this and take it out there. I'm not sure. I think we best take the Q&A session before that, David, or what would you find most valuable?
I'm going to jump back in. I want to start with a thank you, Mel. And
Okay.
I would like some thank yous in the chat for those at home as well, please. It's been super interactive, which is what we wanted. So Geir, if you could come back on screen as well, mate, it would be great to see you. I know when we were discussing the bit of an idea for this session, Mel, you were like, we're going for it. We want it interactive. We want people in the chat. We want Q&A. We want to use the Miro board, all that type of stuff. And I'll be honest, when you put that link for that Miro board in there, I was thinking, oh my God, like what is going on here? But I've had a few direct messages from people saying that was really good. So interactive, tick. You've clearly got an audience. The chat's been going off, actually. I think that's the most interactive I've ever seen the chat. It's clearly we've got an audience of people that care about data quality, which is great. And again, it reinforces why we're doing the Data Quality Academy. And the fact that you're taking feedback in session 1, what's most important, and then tailoring for the audience in sessions 2, 3, and then interactive on the end. Again, like 5-star as far as I'm concerned. So if I could have a few comments in the chat just saying thank you, that would be amazing. So I'm going to kick off there. Mark's in the chat. Thanks, Lawrence. Mark, thank you. Duvri, Thank you. This has been very useful. Fafina, thank you. Thank you for a great mix of theories, example, and interaction. Edith, thank you. We've got some emojis coming in. Many thanks. So lots going on there. And I'm going to reiterate that. Thank you very much. It's also the first time ever I've actually ran down and made a cup of coffee in one of the sessions, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit stressed. You know, bean to cup, I was there, I was doing my tamping and all that stuff, but we made it happen. So super cool. We have got a bit of time for some questions. As you say, there is some questions in the Q&A. We will get to those. Just super quickly though, while we have people, the thing that would be, I think, perhaps helpful as well is just to jump into perhaps a little bit, if you could tell us who's going to be on the webinar next week. And if you have an idea, I know you're looking to tweak things as well. What are you looking to cover, or do you know, what you're looking to cover in session 2?
Yes, it will be me and Adam is, a specialist, a data specialist. So we will have, I saw there was a lot in the chat going on also about, concrete examples, right? So how do I make sure that, that there are no manual typos, which has always happened, right? How do I do this kind of things? And there is not a 100% solution to typos, that I can tell you, but we will, tackle these issues, hear from experience what we have done so far. And it will actually be Adam and me really giving also, especially talking about the ownership piece and talking about like the spot of the dimensions and how we can do this. The next session will be a bit less theoretical, but more just, interactive and more things for you to work on and really get your hands on. So that would be pretty interesting. And then I think it's also good to tailor to the last session, because there we have Gunnar that has done this piece 100 times with customers. So, if we have some things that we really want to have a concrete idea, he can always log in a demo and just show, how we do the things. So that would be very interesting for the audience also.
We're going to be solving some problems. I love that. I love that. With the time that I have left, there is the Q&A. If you want to open the Q&A, Mel and Gaia, we'll just read through it together. What I'm going to do is up the top, you can click on most upvotes. And again, people at home, you can upvote other people's questions. So I'm going to order it by most upvotes and we'll go from there. So the first question at the top there from Abhijit, at what stage would you take care of errors in the data, wrongly spelt names, wrong information, etc.? And I think this was at the beginning where you were going through that holistic suite, explaining how you broke down the different stages. So have you got anything that you would jump straight in there with, Abhijit?
The earlier the better, right? So I would really, we have, when we use it, it's a lot to connecting it directly to the data sources, so where it happens. So that is really just a rule of thumb. But if the earlier you can spot it and you have the possibility, the better. So we do a lot of work on the data source.
Amazing. That makes a lot of sense. And I think in towards the very end there, Gaia, you were kind of very much calling out it's a proactive exercise as well. So I guess that speaks to as well. Be early, be proactive. If you're spotting those problems, get stuck into it. So that makes lots and lots of sense. The next question there from Fafina. I really like this one actually, Fafina. Hi, I wanted to know that if I want to build a portfolio to show my skills in data governance, how do I start with it? Would love to hear your thoughts. I've not heard of a portfolio on data governance. I like the sound of it. We're approaching it as graphic dezyners. Here's all the good data I've looked after. But have either of you got anything to offer for Fafina there?
It is a good one. I was actually reading it and oh dear, if you bring that up, it will be tricky. But I think it's a lot to do with, basically best practices, right? You see this as a kind of a project, right? Where you break it down on different paths and just make sure that you cover all the pillars of data governance, right? Because you have your preferences, right? You like to maybe talk most about the security or most about the knowledge or how to spot these issues part, but you always need to make sure you cover also the ownership part and all the other pillars. And then you might go into a specific area, right? So I found myself very interested working with the customers in Iceland in the whole import and export, where I have a lot of customers within the same industry working in the same way. So I kind of got my knowledge around that of how they do, and what helps the one company might very likely also help the other one. So it's really basically building this portfolio within your skill set and making sure that you touch on all the pillars to really make it holistic. But I do not have a more specific answer to that, but something it's maybe worth to look at for the next session. So thank you for that input.
Definitely. I love that as well. And like in terms of that we're definitely not going to get to all the questions that are in here. But again, this is the beauty of having session 2, 3, and 4. All of the questions that we've got here, we've got access to, and we can use that to shape the future sessions as well. So if we don't get to your question, we will get to it hopefully in part of the future presentations and stuff like that as well. In terms of the question there from Adino, when you're planning a data quality improvement project, what kind of metrics or indicators can you use to show improvement in the data quality? And I think it's that link, isn't it? You were talking about linking it back to that commercial impact and stuff like that. Is there, you're working super hard, you're improving the quality of the data. Is there metrics and indicators that you would recommend?
Yes, there is, but I would not want to spoil it for the next session.
Oh, we're dealing with a pro now. We're dealing with a pro. You've enticed them in for the next session.
I don't know if you want to say something about the things you have been doing so far, or
that makes sense, I think, Mel. I think I like that. We've kept them dangling for future weeks. In terms of that, the thing I am conscious of is time. We have only got about a minute left in this session, and conscious of people's diaries and stuff like that. The thing that I'm going to call out, Michael, I saw in your chat, I think you were raising some really, really valid points. And we will get onto this. It was, quite specific about data entry, and specifically in your case with typos and how we're dealing with it and stuff like that. I think that interaction in the chat was fantastic from everybody. That's absolutely on our radar, and we will get to that. And I think that is quite a big talking point as well, isn't it? It's not something you just quickly discuss in 30 seconds, Michael. So we've got that one there. In terms of everyone else's questions, again, really, really good. So thank you all so much. I think the thing that I'd love to do, just to kind of draw things to a close, I would really like to thank both of you, actually, Mel and Gaia, and also TimeXtender as a whole. I'm very conscious you've given up 2 hours of your time to come and share with the community today, and it's not just this 2 hours, it's the preparation time as well, and we have another 3 weeks to go. So definitely want to say thank you to both of you. How did you find it? Did you enjoy the session?
Absolutely, and it was so quickly over. I felt it 2 hours went quickly. I would love to have more time, and that's the good stuff.
That's the good thing of this. What about yourself, Gaia? How did you get on with it? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it, and it didn't feel like 2 hours at all. Time went very fast. So, and it was very, very nice to see so much interactivity on the poll and Miro board.
For sure. My personal favorite, actually, as I say, I had a couple of people direct message me about the board, and it really did feel like you were part. I know we're online, but it felt like we were very much in there. Everyone's got the same pain, haven't they? So it was quite nice to get everyone's takes, and I love the fact that board's there now, and we have that to take it into future sessions. So yeah, drawing things to a close. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back same time next week. I can hope you can all join us. Hopefully many of you see it through and get that certificate at the end. And equally, if you've enjoyed it, please do stick a post online. Let others know that you've had a good time as well. It's always nice. But yeah, drawing things to a close. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you, TimeXtender. And we'll see you all again next week. Thanks and goodbye.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you.